Hey guys, so this morning somebody messaged me on Discord and asked me how they want to make music production a full-time career and how I did it. And rather than just explaining to one person, I thought I'd make a video explaining my entire story to everybody, and hopefully you guys can learn something from that. Okay, so let's just start at the beginning. I started producing in 2015. I remember I downloaded FL Studio and I made my first track, which was horrendous. I actually have it over here. I'll show you a short preview, but nothing too much. Really long intro of nothing happening. Really long intro. So yeah, it's a pretty bad song, but I thought it was good at the time, and I fell in love with music production. And I remember saying to my wife, and this is actually pretty weird because I said to her, my goal is to make this a full-time job or full-time income within 5 years, which I achieved. And that was like, the intention was out there, but I never thought to myself, oh my God, I've only got 2 years left until I reach my goal. I better get working at it. Life just kind of happened to fall into place in a way that it took me pretty much exactly 5 years to reach my goal. And my wife probably thought I was pretty crazy at the time, considering how bad the music was. So at the time in 2015, I was working in a corporate job. I was earning an above average income and I was living quite a comfortable life. I would take a train into work every day and back. It took me an hour to get there and an hour back, so that gave me 2 hours of music production time on the train. So I just used to make music on my laptop on the way to work and on the way back, and spend a lot of time at work on YouTube watching music production videos to try and learn as much as I can about it. So you could say I was pretty obsessed with music production. Literally every single free moment was spent making music. Another thing that happened to me in 2015 when I started was that I promised myself that I would not play another video game until I was making income from music. And the reason why I made this sacrifice was because throughout my life, I've always been the type of person to, find something that I fall in love with and then kind of get distracted by something else. And usually it would be some video game. Okay, so, and I stuck to that pretty much until I started making money. I didn't really play any video games. So yeah, that's something I'm quite proud of sticking to. But the thing was, it wasn't really that hard because I loved music production so much. I didn't actually really feel like playing video games. Okay, so yeah, 2015 to pretty much 2018 was just spent practicing making music. A few things that helped me through this journey was I made friends with a guy called T-Nan. I remixed one of his songs. I just found it online on a remix competition and messaged him. The remix was pretty bad, but he was really helpful and he gave me a lot of feedback. And over those years, every time I had finished a tune, I would send it to him for feedback, and he gave me some really solid feedback and roasted me. And he also told me, basically taught me how to mix and how to use compressors and everything. So I owe quite a lot of my mixing skill to him and his feedback. And I also joined a Skype group, which then became this Discord group. Where is it? Curve. At the time it was called Production Peeps. And I made a few friends here, and we'd always, we had a feedback channel, and we'd always share feedback and help each other out. And we all kind of grew together. So yeah, they've also been a great help. So yeah, 2015 to around about 2018 was all rosy and just pretty much practicing music production. So yeah, around about 2018, I pretty much was fed up with my job. I felt like I was going in and basically not doing anything for my life other than making money. Like there was no goal. I had no intention of staying in my current career, which was in IT. I was like a network security engineer, and I used to really love it, but I just kind of lost sight of that and beeline for music production. So yeah, I got sick of my job, and I decided, maybe it was time for me to start working on something that would allow me to put more of a focus on music production, even if that something wasn't exactly music production. So I had my first business idea in 2018, and that was right at the beginning of 2018. And here you can see I wrote bad idea, and it was a bad idea. Let me just find this bad idea quickly. It's on Instagram. Okay, so this was my first business idea, and it was to make a website where we sell sample packs for $1 each. So you can see here's a few sample packs, and you can see my first post was in January 2018. And there was a few problems with this. First of all, I noticed that as soon as I tried to advertise this, I pretty much got like a ton of messages from angry artists saying, "What are you doing selling sample packs for $1? You're going to destroy the entire industry. You're kind of just devaluing everything." So I immediately felt pretty bad about that. And then another thing happened where I'd realized that, people were buying these things on using PayPal, and PayPal was taking a fee. And the fee was like percentage plus like 25 cents per transaction. And then that was leaving me with like 75 cents. And then I would have to split that between the artist and myself. And then after, the website costs and everything, it kind of just, it wasn't going to work. It just, I was making negative money. And there was no ways you could advertise the stuff on like Facebook and stuff. The cost per click was like more than what the sample pack was worth. So there was no ways for you to advertise them and make it lucrative. So that was my first failure, but it taught me quite a lot. I learned basically how to build a basic website, how to deal with other artists, what not to do in terms of pricing, and there's a lot to be learned when you fail at something, especially if it's any type of starting up of a business. So I just took that down, and I think probably made like a total of like $50 from that, but lost more. And another thing I did, which I actually haven't written down here, was I had started putting my music onto a site called Audio Jungle. And that's a royalty-free site. So basically, if someone has a video on YouTube and they want background music for it, they can go to Audio Jungle and buy music and a license to put that music in their video, and then they, clear the copyright for it, and they can monetize the video. So I thought that would be a great way to make money. So I started uploading anything that I had finished to that site, and I was making probably like $50 a month on there. I'd get a sale here and there. But it wasn't much. But that was one of my next ideas, and something that I really put a focus on eventually. Anyway, so then quite a big event happened in 2018, pretty much after I failed at that business idea, is I lost my job in the beginning of 2018. I think it was around March, April. And I had some money saved up, so I wasn't too worried. I had about enough to last me about a year. So I decided maybe this was my opportunity to kind of focus on music production and try and use this opportunity to make things work out. So I decided to go for it. So around about April 2018, I thought Audio Jungle is probably my best bet. So I put a real focus on that and really decided, okay, I'm going to try and finish one song a day and just upload them to Audio Jungle. And so I went off and sat down and made music every single day. And I think, it was this whole process of making tunes and like really pumping them out really taught me a lot about, just how to get ideas out quickly, because I had to. So, when you're sitting there and you're making one tune every single day, you really go through the process of pumping out an idea quickly and turning that idea into a song really quickly. And that's why, I think that's probably why today I'm able to turn on my live stream and create an entire song in like 2 hours. I might not consider it finished in 2 hours, but it's the idea is pretty much finished, and then it takes me, a few more weeks or months to tweak it and make it sound nice and professional. So again, Audio Jungle was a great experience for me. And it didn't in the end work out for me. I think I have like 50 songs up there, but they're kind of low quality. And I think at its peak, I was making about $200 to $300 a month on Audio Jungle. So it wasn't that much, but it helped me out. And that money kind of faded out over the months as I stopped uploading music to Audio Jungle. Okay, so another thing happened in 2018 in the beginning after I lost my job is I decided while I was working on Audio Jungle to, I would wake up every day with a new business idea in my head. And one of the ones I decided to chase was starting Basic Waves. So Basic Waves, if you've been following, you probably know about this. It's currently my blog. But when I first started it, it was just a shop with t-shirts and hats on it. And the idea was to make t-shirts that appealed to music producers only. So that's why I came up with the idea to just use the basic waveforms on the t-shirt designs. And I built the website, and then I posted about it on Reddit. I made an ad on Reddit because, they don't let you post about it in the actual forums. And I remember on the first day, I got like 10 sales, sold like 10 t-shirts, and made enough. I think I made about just over $100 in that first day. And it was like one of the greatest moments. I was like, oh my God, this is it. There's almost like no effort involved in this, and I can survive off it. But in the following days and weeks, I think I just got really lucky on that first day, because I ended up getting like one sale every few days. So I quickly realized that was not going to work out. But I just left it up and kind of just let those sales trickle in. So that's kind of like, that was like a half finished idea. So I was jumping around a lot, like between ideas, and I never really focused on one thing properly. Like I said, I'm going to do Audio Jungle. I focused on it like hardcore for a few weeks, and then got over it, and then started Basic Waves, focused on that hardcore, and then got over it. So that was probably like one of my biggest mistakes. So if I could go back and redo all of this, I would have chosen one thing and focused on it for like a year. I think that was my biggest mistake, actually. And then it was like kind of halfway through the year, and I was starting to actually run out of money because I'm not very good with budgeting. So I decided to start a computer repair business because I had actually been involved in one, when I was about 19 years old. I worked in a computer repair business for 2 years, so I knew how the business worked, and I knew I could do the work. And I thought, if I can just sit in my studio and, repair computers, and in between that, keep working on music, I can keep my dream alive while keeping my family alive. So I launched that repair business, built a website for it, put out some ads, and I got my first customer, and that went well. And then it kind of same thing happened. I just didn't get any customers for a few weeks. So I decided to get into doing also phone repair, because the PC repair business isn't, it's something more of the Windows XP era. And nowadays computers are so cheap, and they kind of don't break as much as they used to, and don't get viruses as much as they used to. So I decided to get into iPhone repair. I bought some broken iPhones off eBay and started fixing them up and reselling them, just replacing the screens. And that worked out. So once I was comfortable with that, I put out some ads on Google AdWords for phone repair, and I got like a huge influx of customers, and I was making more than enough money to support my family, so that was a huge relief. So that was going quite well for a little while, and I'll get back to that. But in the meantime, I had been working on a sample pack, because that was another one of the business ideas that I had. One of my friends had made a sample pack, and he said that he was making, decent passive income from it. So I thought, if I just make one sample pack, I can just build on my monthly income, and that'll help me survive. So I spent like a month working on that sample pack, a few hours a day. And how that actually came about was I first contacted Loopmasters. I'm sure everybody knows Loopmasters. And I said, how do I make a sample pack for you guys? What do you need? How big does it need to be? How does it work? Do you pay me upfront for it, or do I just release it on your store and take royalties from it? And their support got back to me, and they just gave me a list of like an example sample pack, like the size that it needed to be. And I remember it was like this brochure showing, you need this amount of kicks, this amount of claps, this amount of bass sounds, and then some multi-samples and MIDI files and presets and stuff. And it was basically like an example of a pretty big sample pack. So my first sample pack was pretty huge. And I was pretty proud of this because of the size of it, and I was quite happy with the sound design and the quality of it. So I sent it to them, and they liked it, and they said, we can release it. I think they said they were like they had too much of a backlog at the time, so they said contact us in a few months. And I didn't want to wait that long, so I decided to send it to a few other guys, and one of them was Black Octopus. Black Octopus got back to me, and they said they love the sample pack and they want to release it. So I decided to go with them instead of Loopmasters. And then I released my first sample pack shortly after starting my repair business. So we put that out. That one was called Professional Deep House Essentials. And I'm still using some of the samples from that pack today in all my productions. So, it is a good sample pack. But unfortunately, it didn't perform too well. And I think partly because the audience on Black Octopus at the time was more focused on dubstep, and this was a house pack. And also, I was a very unknown producer. So, a pack pops up on Splice. next to a virtual riot pack, the chances that they're going to click on mine are not very high. But I mean, it did still get a few sales, but not nearly as much as I was hoping for. I was like hoping that I was going to make like thousands from it every month. Whereas in reality, it was more like, between 50 to 100 every month. And that grew and kind of fluctuated over time. So, but yeah, I'll get back to sample pack production. So, yeah, from there, I kept on working on the repair business and on sample packs. I had another sample pack that I sent out to Black Octopus, and that one was called Delicious Deep House Drums. And that was the first pack that actually started hitting the Splice charts. I think it got to number 66 on the top 100. So I think that was my first taste of success in terms of sample packs. And that was like right at the beginning of 2019, I think. And so that was really nice. I got some nice royalties from that, and I thought everything was going well because my repair business was going well, and I had time to produce again. So I was really like working on my music and having some fun, and I was nice and relaxed. But then, just as everything got good, the struggle began, and that was in 2019. And you can see, it says Google fucked me, because Google really did fuck me. So my repair business was pretty much built on Google AdWords. What would happen is a customer would search for phone repair when they dropped their iPhone or whatever, and then my ad would show up at the top of the search results, and then people would click on it and come to me, and I was getting like a few customers every day from that. But Google implemented some new policy that says they don't allow third-party repair companies to run ads. So in other words, unless I was like an Apple authorized dealer, I wasn't allowed to run ads. So they took down all my ads and destroyed my business, in the space of a few hours. I went from making like, up to like £100, maybe more than that every day, to making literally nothing. I had like no customer for like 2 weeks. And that was where the struggle really began. 2019. I think 2019 was probably the worst year of my life so far. I started panicking, started hunting for jobs, other options. Here you can see it says I even built a lawn care website. This is how desperate I got. I researched about lawn care and decided I was going to go out and buy some lawnmowers and put flyers through all the letterboxes in my neighborhood and start mowing lawns for money, like a 14-year-old trying to save up some pocket money to buy a PlayStation, except I was trying to support my family. So another thing I was doing was buying and fixing and selling phones on eBay. That was like how I learned to fix phones, but I decided to just do that to make money, which was actually pretty good, but it was really monotonous and tiring to sit on eBay all day waiting for good deals to come across. And it also wasn't very reliable. You could go a few days without finding any phone, or you could buy a phone and, it's not just the screen that's broken, something else is broken, and you end up losing money. So I got into some debt. I started surviving on my credit cards and taking out loans. But through all of this, I really owe a lot to Black Octopus because they were really kind. I messaged them in a bit of a state one day and said, I'm really broke. I need work. Can you guys give me something to do? And they said that they were busy in the process of, building up Leviathan 3, and the Leviathan is probably their most well-known sample pack series. They're known for making these massive 5 gigabyte sample packs, and they hire a bunch of producers to make samples to build them up to that size. So they hired me to make like thousands of samples for them for this pack. So that was really lucky, and I made enough money to support my family off that. But it wasn't consistent enough. Once that work was over, it was over. In the future, they did hire me a few more times to make samples, and they still do hire me today to make them samples. So I'm really grateful for that. But unfortunately, that would afford me, to survive another month or two. But then once that money was gone, I couldn't rely on them to constantly give me work. So I was still panicking and still hunting for jobs and, just trying to survive. I think I had a few very dark moments through that time. And while I was doing this, I kept grinding away at sample packs, kept making new ones and sending them to Black Octopus, and kept working on Basic Waves. I eventually transformed Basic Waves into more of a blog, because I also researched about blogging and saw that you could make money blogging. So I wrote quite a few articles for them, for Basic Waves. So you'll see there's quite a ton of articles, and still today I make quite, a decent portion of my income just from the blog. So the blog makes money from advertising and also from affiliate income through Amazon. So like if somebody comes to an article here and they search for, like, let's say they search Yamaha HS7 versus HS8 on Google, they'll come to this article, and then there's links to where they can buy it. And this is just like a comparison between the two and, just some information. And if they come here and they click shop now through my links, I earn a percentage of the income. And at the moment I make, anywhere from $300 to $1,000 a month just from that affiliate income. So plus the ads also make a few $100 a month. So the name of the game really was to just keep on creating streams of income. So, but back then when I was working on it, it wasn't making a cent, except for a few t-shirt sales here and there. And building up a blog like this is really quite a long game. You can start a blog and only really start earning money about a year after you've posted the articles, because it just takes so long for the articles to rank and climb up to high positions within Google. Okay, back to this. Yeah, so I kept on writing articles for Basic Waves, kept on hunting for jobs, and it was around about October 2019 that I got a job offer. I went for an interview at quite a prestigious company, and actually landed the job for a really well-paid position. It was earning like quite a lot more than what I was earning in my previous corporate job. It was doing the same thing, but it was like a lead engineer kind of role. So, I was like, after struggling so much and getting into debt and not knowing how I was going to buy food and pay, my bills and stuff, getting that job offer was like a huge relief for my family, and everybody who I knew and loved was like relieved because they knew how much we were struggling. So the day that I got that, I walked into my studio and looked around at my repair business, which was on the right hand side of my studio, and my music production side, which was on the left. And I pretty much just broke down and started crying. And just thought, I failed. I'd been trying for so long to make things work, and it was just like soul crushing, like that feeling of failure. It was so bad that I decided to turn down the job against everybody's advice. Everybody said, don't turn it down, just take the job and keep working on your stuff on the side. But I knew that if I had done that, I would have probably stopped working on all the other, revenue streams, like all the income generating stuff, and just focused on music production. And that dream probably would have been delayed another 5 years. So, or who knows, I might not have ever reached that dream. Maybe I would have just gotten bored of music production and picked up another hobby. And I just felt like I was so close to cracking it that leaving that dream was just, it was just too soul crushing for me to go through with it. So I turned down that fantastic job opportunity despite being broke and despite feeling like I was disappointing everybody. And I kept on grinding away at it. And that was right at the end of 2019. Then after that, Ear Candy, which is a pack of, like an FX pack that I made for Black Octopus, started charting. I think it got to number 22 on the Splice charts. And that was lucky. So I made, quite a few thousand from that. And that afforded me a few more months of survival. And I kept on working at stuff. And then we get to probably the big turning point in my life, which was in the beginning of 2020, right around where lockdown happened, pretty much like a month before lockdown. I decided to come back to my YouTube channel. So previously I'd been, I made a few YouTube tutorials here and there, and they kind of amassed, some of them got like just over 10,000 views over like 2 years. But there was never really any momentum, and I kind of just made a video every few months, and it was just for the fun of it. I didn't actually intend it to, grow into something big. I knew that people didn't really make money on YouTube unless they got quite big, and I didn't consider myself like much of a personality that people would find entertaining or whatever. So this was more just to like, I don't know, sometimes it's just fun to record a video. But I decided to do this thing that I had been doing before, and that was to produce a track in 2 hours and record it and put it on YouTube. And I hadn't done that in quite some time. So I guess what happened was, between my last video and this video, I had my production level had grown so much because of all the, pumping out of music and all the sound design I'd been doing and all the grinding, that, the level of music had suddenly reached a point where it was like, pretty professional sounding. And this video kind of took off. It's not doing that well. It's like almost at 40,000 views. But the effect of it was that I suddenly had an audience. I had a bunch of people that believed in me and that wanted to learn from me. And when you've got that, that is when you can actually start, making a decent living. I think anybody who has been in like business for a while will tell you that anytime you have like an audience, a bunch of people listening to you, you can make money. And I think that's what people need to focus on. When they decide that they want to make money, they need to focus on building an audience. And I don't mean let me focus on trying to get more Instagram followers, because that is meaningless. You need to focus on making a difference in people's lives. And when you do that, people will come to you and say, I want to give you money. And that's literally what happened to me. I released this video and somebody messaged me on Instagram and said, I'd like to send you money to say thank you for this video because it helped me, get out of a rut or improve my music production. They said, why don't you start up Patreon and I'll sign up to it. So I decided to start up Patreon. And that by far has been the quickest way I've made money, I think I made Patreon, and like within the first day of making it, I had like made over $350 or something. And for me, that was huge because everything else I had done had taken me like 6 months to start making money. So this was like literally, immediately I was making money. And the Patreon has grown to like, I think just over $1,000 now. And I have people coming to me and taking lessons now through Patreon and doing mixing and mastering. And really it's just been amazing. And I think it's, it all kicked off right about when this video released. And yeah, so since then we've grown a community on Discord, and I mean, if you haven't joined it, you should, where we just chat about music production. And, also to my shock, we had quite a lot of people join. I think we've got over 600 people now in the Discord. But anyway, back to the timeline. So yeah, video drops. Let's call it the life-changing video. And I suddenly have an audience. I start Patreon. And just by chance, Black Octopus get in touch and they offer me some more regular work, almost like contract type work where, it's a deal where I make content for them for a period, and, that guarantees me income. So that was great. Again, huge thanks to Black Octopus, because they have really been like a huge support all through all of this. Without them, I would have 100% failed, or at least it would have taken me way longer to get to where I am. So yeah, Black Octopus happened to give me more work at that time, and PML Production Music Live saw my video too, and they said, hey, it's a great fit. We think like you would be a great instructor to have, on the channel and on the website. Would you like to, make some content for us? I was like blown away by this, because I'd also been learning from Production Music Live over the years. They were like one of the first channels that I used to watch when I was learning music production. So for them to ask me to make a course for them was like a huge honor. So I said yes, of course. And I released a course with them, and that has done quite well too. And has just been another really big income stream for me. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm continuing to do more work with them. I've actually got a preset pack coming out now, and I've also got a Diva sound design course, which was released recently, which is also doing well. And even the sample pack royalties are continuing to grow. As more people see my videos, they go down to the description and they see my sample packs. Those sales are also increasing. So everything's kind of growing at the same time. And right now I'm living quite comfortably, and, my family is very happy, and I feel like, I overcame quite a lot, and I'm really proud of getting to where I am now. And if I can do it, you heard my music from the beginning. I was never, some prodigy or miracle boy. If I can do it, literally anybody else can do it. It's just a matter of finding one thing and focusing on it and growing that. Yeah, so if I could go back, what I would have done probably straight from the beginning in 2018 when I lost my job is I would have just sat down and made sample packs pretty much non-stop. And yeah, I think if you make like 20 sample packs and make sure that they're good quality ones, if each one makes you a minimum of $100 a month, you've got yourself a full-time income there. So I think sample packs is a good place to start, and then you need to also start a YouTube account and start making courses if your music is good enough. It's really just about growing multiple revenue streams. And on the topic of revenue streams, I thought it might be cool to It's just count all the streams that I have and write them down so that you can paint a picture. So I make sample packs. That's one. And I've got courses. I've got a website that has ad revenue. I have affiliate income. I have Patreon. What else? Sample packs, courses, ad rev, Patreon. I have people that sponsor videos too. I don't do it that much, but it happens every once in a while. So sponsors. I have so Patreon is comprised of actually a few different revenue streams. So I would probably separate my lessons from Patreon, even though the money comes through Patreon. I'm just going to put it as a separate stream. And I'm also going to put mixing and mastering as a separate stream. And let's see, what else do I have? Audio Jungle is also, I mean, it still exists, even though it's only a small amount. And it's 9 so far. Oh, and then also on Basic Waves I sell digital products. So let's just put products on Basic Waves. And I still sell a t-shirt here and there. So t-shirt sales, yeah. So there we go. I'm pretty sure there's something I've forgotten, but just off the top of my head, we can count 11 revenue streams. So that's really what it takes, you know, to make a decent income. And as long as you keep chipping away at each of these different revenue streams, really, like, there's no limit to how much money you can make. You can grow each of these things, you know, infinitely. And a lot of them just become passive, you know, like sample packs. You make a sample pack and it makes money for years and years and years. Same thing with courses, with my blog, with the articles, they rank on Google, you know, as long as you update them every once in a while, which, you know, I haven't touched the site for at least like 6 months, and it's continues to just grow in terms of the amount of traffic and revenue that it's generating. You know, the only things that I hear that aren't really passive are the lessons and the mixing and mastering. The rest of it is like you do the work up front and then money just keeps coming in over time. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to add was that also when just after this video dropped, I had made a song with one of my friends that I sent out to Lane 8 to hopefully get onto his record label, and he responded saying that he liked it, but not enough to sign it to the label. Maybe it just didn't really fit, but he said that he might put it in a mixtape or something, and I thought he was just being friendly and just saying that, you know, I thought, you know, if he liked it, he would have signed it. He's not going to put it in a mixtape. And as I'm sure you know, he did end up putting it in a mixtape, which was a huge surprise. He didn't tell us that he was going to do it. The mixtape just came out and I was listening to it, or my friend was listening to it, and he just messaged me saying, oh my God, Lane 8 put our track in the mixtape, which was amazing. And then that track subsequently got signed to Silk. So Silk took that, and that was probably my first big release. And that only came out a few months ago. And since then, I've signed a track over to Colorize and an EP to Enormous Tunes. So 2 big labels that I've been wanting to get on ever since I started producing, or 3 big labels. yeah, so I'm very lucky all of this has come through this year, and I am now in a place where I can support my family while doing what I love. And I have also closed down my repair business. It's no longer running. So now I'm making a full-time income of music production. So there we go. We have a nice happy ending. And I hope you guys, learn from my mistakes and can kind of figure out your own path to making a living out of music production, if that's what you came here to learn, which I assume you did. And yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next video.